Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about negativity and positivity and how you kind of need a bit of a balance in your mindset in order to be able to be the best version of yourself that you can be. Because you want to be a positive person overall, you want to generally look at the world and see as nice a thing as you can, but you also don't want to delude yourself and see, positive stuff that isn't there, and ignore negative stuff that is there. Right? I did a video already about the idea of overwhelming negativity of YouTubers and influencers and stuff that only talk about positive stuff and they'll never ever talk about negative stuff because basically negative stuff doesn't happen, so why should they bother about it? They're positive influencers, not negative influencers. And I'm not super keen on that because I feel like if you're super positive all the time and you just constantly like that, then you're only going to end up making yourself unhappy in the long run because, positivity is an active thing, whereas negativity, I feel like we're constantly slipping towards negativity, right? And positivity is an active effort that you need to put in to be positive. You can't be positive by default. If you were to do nothing, right? If you just did absolutely nothing, right, all day, right? What would happen? Well, first, you would lose your job because you're not going into work. That's a negative thing. And that would have consequences that, now you can't pay your rent and your bills and then you would end up getting evicted. That's also a negative thing. So now you're homeless and jobless, right? And those are both negative things, right? And this is all through inaction. So inaction leads to negative consequences. And action can lead to positive consequences. And obviously, not every action will lead to a positive thing, and sometimes you shouldn't take an action because it will lead you to a negative thing. That's perfectly normal, right? But generally, taking action takes you towards a positive thing. And use your common sense to make sense of that, because sometimes, say if you've got a mate and you really want to get rid of this mate because they're just a nasty piece of work, but you're still sort of friendly with them, just being positive about it isn't really going to do anything. At a certain point, you just need to tell this guy just fuck off, and that's a negative thing that you have to do. But it will bring positive consequences in the long run, right? And so action leads to positivity. And I feel like it's very easy to delude yourself into an overly positive mindset. Just seeing the colours in the rainbow that aren't there when, we're living in a world of grey and stuff like that. And it's look, instead of just trying to make up your own fucking colours, why don't you just accept the fact that the world is grey and take appreciation in the fact it's grey? I think this all looks quite nice over here. I like the grey skies. I like all this sort of stuff. I like when it rains. I like all that. And, they're kind of negative things, but I get a bit of a positive little thing out of them. I like being in the rain. I like getting back in after it's been raining and, having a nice bowl of soup and looking out the window at the rain on the window, like the little droplets and stuff. That's all quite nice. And, there's silver linings in everything. There's absolutely everything. There is some kind of silver lining, even if, the silver lining is something that you've kind of had to force. It's still there. And as long as you're not only relying on those silver linings, then you'll be all right. Because there's a whole cloud as well that you need to deal with. But the silver lining is there. And as long as you can see the silver lining and you can deal with the cloud, you'll be all right. If you can see the silver lining but you can't deal with the cloud, then you're kind of fucked. And if you can only deal with the cloud but not see the silver lining, that's just a recipe for misery. So what I would say is just kind of be as present with your understanding of the world as you can be. Be as objective with it as you can be. Try and see the positive, try and see the negative. It's very easy with the internet and all the algorithms and stuff that push negativity onto people to get really down on yourself because it seems like the world is so fucked. There's so many problems going on in the world and it doesn't seem like any of them are getting solved, and it's very easy to get yourself down about that. But you've got your own little world around you that has loads of little positive things inside of it, that if you're only seeing that negative broader picture stuff, you're not going to see all of this nice little stuff knocking around. There's a reason that newspapers don't put cat gets saved from tree as the main headline of a thing, or they'll put bus broke down rather than showing all the the buses that safely made it to their destination. And obviously it's because those stories aren't nearly as interesting. they're not going to get as much engagement and stuff like that. Oh, breaking news, bus moves as according to schedule. Brilliant. What am I supposed to get out of that? And it's kind of, I don't know, I feel like we get pushed a lot of negative stuff onto us. And as a result, it can be very easy to overcompensate with the positivity. Because it sort of seems like if you engage with negativity, that you're capitulating to all the horrors of the world and allowing, the misery of these internet algorithms to take you by the throat and control your mood and that kind of thing. But I don't know, there is negative stuff going on in the world, There's people starving out there. There's all sorts of horrible shit going on. And in your own life as well, there's all sorts of horrible stuff going on. Getting stuck in a traffic jam isn't a nice thing. You're not going to get in a traffic jam and go, oh, well, it's actually a good thing that I can be in this traffic jam. Or actually, maybe, being in the traffic jam means that you get to finish your podcast before you get to the destination, right? Because that extra 3 minutes, right? Maybe you would have got to your destination with 3 minutes left on the podcast and you'd have been sat in the car finishing the podcast anyway, Not counting, obviously, the last 5 minutes where they just say goodbye for ages and they just take ages to say goodbye, right? I know I do that as well. I'll say goodbye halfway through a video and then just keep rambling. But, it's just a sort of thing where if you're trying to make it for yourself, and try and make some kind of positive influence on the world around you, you need to be aware of the negative stuff. And I think overly positive people, I don't dislike them for their over positivity. I think it's a good thing that they're able to feel like that and that they're able to be so overwhelmingly happy and positive all the time. But at the same time, I don't think that you should feel like you should need to force yourself to be like that, because that's not the truest state for every single human being. Not everyone needs to be like that. Some people like to have a bit of negativity in their life, harmless negativity, where you watch the Jeremy Kyle show or whatever and you laugh at the fucking people that come on, and you just have a bit of a piss take about that. And it's that's certainly a negative thing that you're doing and engaging with, but it's a little bit of fun. You can have a bit of banter with your mate and oh God, have you seen that one? You can have little in-jokes with one another. And so you can turn a negative thing into a positive thing through your experience shared with another person or even on your own, It's just a case of trying to make the best out of a bad situation, really, because, the world isn't all that well put together, and we're kind of just thrown into it in a way where we need to figure out our own worldview and our own way of life. And I think a lot of people seek guidance on that. And when I was 15, 16, I needed to seek guidance because I didn't have any of the answers. I didn't know what was going on, and I still don't. So I still do seek guidance. And, I first started off with a lot of these motivational YouTubers, the ones that nowadays it's all the whole wake up at 3 a.m. and get to the gym for 4 a.m. and then get back and start grinding at 5 a.m. But back then we didn't have all those buzzwords for it. And, they would just have all this quite professional looking footage and they would shout encouragement at you through a really compressed microphone. And, I started to wonder during that time that I was watching those videos, wow, they're really nothing bad ever seems to happen to these people. And it's how do they manage to make it so that nothing bad happens to them? It's obviously bad stuff happens to these positive people, but how do they handle that positivity, that negativity? How do they handle that? Do they kind of go through and reject the negative impulses in the brain and just not allow them to manifest? How do they do that? Is that a skill that you can learn? Is that innate? And is it even desirable? Does it mean that you're maybe less able to deal with negative stuff than people who like to bask in the negativity? I don't know. I don't have any of the answers. And I think, a lot of people will try and act like they do have all the answers and try and push an agenda onto you. And I just kind of want to say so you got positive stuff in your life, right? And then you got negative stuff in your life, right? And that's always going to be the case. No matter who you are, what's going on, there'll always be a bit of positive and a bit of negative. There'll always be a bit of good with the bad and a bit of bad with the good, right? And you want to cherish the good stuff whilst dealing with the bad stuff. And you're generally trying to reduce the bad stuff and increase the good stuff. And you'll never get to a point where there's only good stuff and no bad stuff. That's never going to happen. And that's part of the human experience. If we had no negative impulses in the brain, nothing bad ever happened to us, we wouldn't just be the happiest we've ever been just because everything is happy all the time. It's just like, because if everything was just brilliant all the time, then it's just kind of whatever, because there's nothing to compare it to. You know, like, say you're having the best time of your life, right? And it's just an insanely great time. Like, it's one magical night, let's say. Say if every night was like that and it was that magical, would that be good? I'm sure it'd be nice the first couple times, but you get sick of it pretty quickly, I think. And yeah, I know it's a little bit of a rambly one, this one. It doesn't make vast amounts of sense, but the general core of the message is just, you should try and balance yourself, because if you're too overly positive, I feel like you can shut out negativity when you need to take it in order to be able to deal with negative stuff when it comes. And if you only look at positivity, then you're going to miss all the bad stuff. And the positive stuff will just become less positive with time. And eventually you'll just be in this, experience limbo where nothing is particularly good or bad. Maybe. I don't really know. I just sort of think that I've seen a lot of this positive influencer sort of stuff as of late, and I just wanted to just say my little 2 cents about it, really. Just, it's nice to be positive. I think that positivity is a good thing, obviously, but I'd like to see some of these positivity influencers take some time to address more negative things as well through their positive outlook, because they do have a good outlook. They have a good way of seeing the world where they can extract positivity from negativity. It's just a case of being able to digest that negativity as well, and make the most out of the positivity. Because I think we can all agree that positivity is nice and negativity isn't. I don't think anyone out there likes negativity. They don't like bad stuff happening to them. And yeah, that's basically the video. This is a very sleepy one, pretty much. I hope you've managed to take something away from this. Something, just, try and balance your worldview, essentially, is what I'm saying. So yeah, leave your comments below about if you agree with that. Are you a super positive person? If so, how do you manage to make that work? How do you deal with negative stuff? Do you think I'm just talking a load of shite? If you do, please let me know, tell me why, and I'll maybe address that in another video. And if you're someone who's maybe a bit like, what they're called, doomers, right? If you're a doomer, then leave your comments below about why you think the world is fucked and why you can't see any positive stuff out there. Because something positive must have happened to you in the recent memory, right? Something good must have happened. So how do you handle that? Do you fixate on that to try and make yourself feel better, or do you shut it out because it's not as important as the negative stuff? I don't know. I feel like I try and edge more towards having a positive outlook on stuff. I try and see it like, if I miss a bus, then at least I can have a cigarette. If I have to stay a little bit later at work, I think, oh well, I can at least get an hour's overtime on this. That can get me it basically covers my travel to and from here, so that's all right. If it's cold, I might think, oh well, I'll be warm when I get in. And yeah, that's basically it. That's basically the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a good rest of the day, and take care, everybody. Bye bye.